Yes, you've read the title of this vid correctly, and by the time this vid goes live on the channel, the car that I'm sat in, my Porsche Macan S, will be sold. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I do apologise for not uploading any content recently on the channel. My day job has kept me very busy, and these vids take a considerable amount of time to kind of shoot, edit and upload and the rest of it. So, you know, I'll try and keep it as consistent as I possibly can over the next few weeks. Yes, you have read the title of this vid correct. I have cancelled my 2022 Porsche Macan S order, and I'll get to the reasons for that shortly. You are joining me in my current Porsche Macan S, which I've had for about 7 months or something like that. Now, let me just talk to you about the Porsche Macan order, which I placed only a few, well, I'll say only a few weeks ago. It was actually back end of July when I left a deposit. And at that time, the dealership was saying to me, look, it's going to be more like the end of the year when you get your car and it's going to get delivered. And all of that was absolutely fine. It would mean that I would enjoy this car for a little bit longer, and then I've got something to look forward to towards the end of the year. Now, there has been a global shortage of the semiconductor microchips, and that issue has kind of flown through pretty much to every single car manufacturer out there, especially on brand new cars, which is why the used car prices have shot up, because people can't get hold of new cars, so they're buying used cars, and dealerships are struggling to, you know, have stock of used cars as well. So, you know, there's always that kind of, you know, your used car is worth more, so it's probably the best time to sell, you know, if you're looking to sell, but probably not to buy a used car. So everything was going to plan up until middle of last week, when the dealership rang me and said, right, we've got some good news and we've got some bad news. I was like, okay, what's going to happen here? So the good news was that I was number 5 in the queue of 20 or 30 cars that they had on order with Porsche Germany, but the delay meant that even though I was number 5 in the queue, there was a global demand for the cars, which meant that my build slot, although they couldn't put a finger on it and kind of say, right, it's going to be on this day, my build slot was estimated to be around, I think it was something like Q2 of next year, of 2022, which then meant that the delivery wouldn't be any time before July or even August, or possibly the very latest September. Now obviously in the UK we get cars registered in September, so it might have been worth it for me to hold on to that order, you know, until September, and, you know, get the car registered as, you know, the new registration plate. Now for me that's quite a long wait, and I personally didn't want to be driving this car for the next, say, 12 months and then buy a car which on the face of it is pretty much the same, apart from the center console and some tweaks to the bodywork, and then own that car for another 2 years per se, or what have you. It would just mean that I would have been with the same car for longer than what I usually end up having. So it got me thinking, to kind of think, right, what do I do here? Do I stick with the order? Do I cancel the order? And I decided to cancel the order at that point. Part of it felt a bit like a knee-jerk reaction, but then now thinking back to it, I think it kind of makes sense. Those of you guys that have been following my channel for quite a while will know that I usually change my cars every 12 to 18 months and usually get something quite different. So coming out of a Macan S and going into a Macan S, although it would have a different engine and what have you, to me it would just feel that it was essentially the same car. So then, following the cancellation of my order, I then decided, right, what is it that I really want to be doing with this Macan? And as I kind of alluded to earlier on, the prices of used cars at the moment are quite high, and I had an email in my inbox from a local Porsche dealership to me to say, do you have a car that you want to sell, preferably a Porsche, with under 30,000 miles, and if you are thinking about selling, then get in touch with us. So, you know, I kind of thought, well, let's see what they're going to offer me. And anyway, so I picked up the phone and got in touch with the local dealership, Porsche Solihull, by the way, and arranged for them to, you know, kind of see my car and what have you. So anyway, my car went into them, and they've given me a price on this car, and I don't want to be sharing any numbers because that's something a bit more personal to me, but they've given me a price on this car which has meant that it's cost me zero to drive this car all year. So for me, like I say, it's been free motoring for the whole year, and I kind of thought to myself, when is the bubble gonna burst? Probably not for a few months time. Do I change this car now or do I hold on to it? But because I've cancelled the order on the new Macan S, I kind of felt like, personally, I need a new car. I want something to keep me going. So I placed another order on another car. It's not a brand new car, it is a used car, but it's pretty much, it might as well be a brand new one based on the mileage and the condition that I've seen it in. Now, I'm going to be picking that car up on Saturday. It's Wednesday today, so a couple of days time down the line. Everything seems to be in order. You know, I've got the time slot as well to go and pick the car up, and I'm really excited about it. Let me just tell you a little bit about that car now, without going into too much detail, because there will be like an unveiling and all of it. It's a 3 litre, it's got a ZF gearbox, and I'll let you decide what it is. It's a replacement for this car. I'm not going to tell you anything more than that, but it's also a brand that I've never owned before. So, you know, those of you that know me long enough, you know, can make up your own minds. Those of you that have been following the channel and you know what kind of cars I've had, leave a comment in the comment section below, and you know, let's see what you think. Coming back to this then, I've kind of decided to obviously let this car go, and I have enjoyed this car over the time that I've had it. This is a 3 litre V6 S petrol engine car with about 340 horsepower, and it's got the PDK gearbox, which I think is pretty good. My only concern about this car is that if you are seriously thinking about buying this car, you know, as your next car, not this particular one, but a Macan S, and you kind of think, you know, it's a 3 litre, it's not going to be that bad on fuel and what have you. It is quite bad on fuel. You know, if fuel is right up there, and I think for most people right now it probably is, based on the recent fuel crisis that we've just had. This car locally doesn't give you more than like about 15 miles per gallon. This car is worse on fuel than my M4, which I drive, you know, just as much as I do this, but this is like at least something in the region of, like, say, I don't know, 5 mpg worse off than the M4. So just to put that into context, let's just talk about, you know, the tank sizes and how many miles you get out of it. I'm not going to talk about, like, say, how much it costs, because again, the prices are going to vary where you fill up from. The M4, I usually fill up about 55 litres, is a 60 litre tank, and on the 55 litres, if I'm doing like a combined journey, that gives me in the region of about 240 to 250 miles. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. If I do a motorway run and then I do, like, say, urban driving, it will give me in the region of about 300 miles, maybe a little bit more. That's got, like I say, 55 litres. This car's got a 75 litre tank, so suppose I fill this car up with, you know, 65 to 70 litres, and I drive it locally, it's gonna give me about 200 miles. Yeah, just take that in. 70 odd litres of fuel gets you 200 miles in this. If you drive it on the motorway and you kind of combine it up, it's gonna give you 250 miles. It's a lot more expensive to run this car than it is the M4. Now, part of me was thinking, right, to get like the best value for money, and which car should I trade? Should I, you know, I've had my M4 for a couple of years, maybe that's the car that I should let go of, and in all honesty that makes more sense because there's more money in that car right now, you know, just sat around. Whereas with this one, there's not as much, but still, what the dealership have offered me is pretty much more than what I paid for this car, and it's been free motoring, and the deposit or the equity in this car is going to fund the next one. So it kind of made sense for me to, you know, kind of move away from this Porsche Macan and, you know, get into something else. And I'm really excited about the next car because I think it's going to give me a nice blend of, you know, comfort, performance, you know, and as a general all-rounder as well. You know, a bit like this as well. I mean, this was very comfortable. I did like a 1,000-mile trip in this, and, you know, fuel aside, everything else was bang on. You know, and it was just fantastic. We've taken this on a few road trips, and it's performed, you know, faultlessly. And overall, I do like the spec of this car. You know, it's like you can see, it's got like a two-tone leather interior, it's got pan roof and a few other nice sort of touches around as well. So it's quite a nice spec car, but like I say, I am excited about the next one. I do apologize, this vid hasn't been one of those where, you know, I'm out and about driving and what have you. I just kind of thought, because this car is coming to the end of its term with me, I'll just do like a farewell vid on this car and also give you an update on what's happening with the Porsche Macan S order. And I know on the back end of that vid that I did, you know, like I say, a couple of months ago, a lot of you guys have been getting in touch with me on my Instagram, you know, asking me about lead times, you know, telling me about your orders and when you're expecting your delivery, which is, you know, really great. But it's just an unfortunate way of events, really, in the way things are worked out. There's a shortage of semiconductor microchips, which meant that some cars were being delivered earlier but without some of the features. So, you know, a Macan S now features PASM, but some of them were being delivered without PASM to customers, you know, and, you know, to fulfill like that kind of, you know, 2-month lead time rather than waiting like another 6 months on top of that, which was one of the reasons. I mean, my dealership didn't really say to me that, you know, your car will come without PASM if you want it earlier. They've kind of got over, you know, certain technical issues with, like, say, cars, but the overall, the semiconductor microchips is a global issue, and I think that is what's really killing new car sales at the moment, and the lead times. I mean, another way to look at it was, I was in the process also thinking about ordering a company car. That could have been anything from a BMW through to, you know, any German brand or a Jap or whatever. And again, the lead time on one of those, because those will be brand new as well, if I order one now in, you know, say October, I'm not going to be getting that until April next year. And, you know, most of those cars are usually just bog standard cars, so it is a global issue. But let's just hope that, you know, we kind of get through it. And who knows, you know, I mean, it's not going to be, you know, the end all of, like, say, Porsche with, you know, with me. I might even end up at some point, you know, trading in my M4 for a 911, who knows. 911 is the car that I do aspire to. So who knows, you know, that could be on the cards at some point. But that's another vid for another day. But that isn't the car that I've actually bought. So yeah, hopefully guys, you have kind of enjoyed this update. I know it's, like I say, it's not like one that, you know, I'm usually out driving the cars. Plus I haven't got my GoPro with me, so I can't really be doing that. But I'm hoping that you have found this update useful, and if you are in the process of ordering your car, then let me know how you're getting on. Hopefully guys, I'll see you on the next vid where I will be unveiling the new car, and until then, take care.